Hello, everyone. Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets, here with your weekly marijuana market update. Now, like I've done before in weeks past, I do want to tell you real briefly about Chief Investment Strategist Adam O'Dell's Millionaire Masterclass. Now, in it, he unveils a strategy he used on the markets to retire at the age of 33. I don't know about you, but if I'd have known that when I was 33, I'd be much better off than I am today. Now, just go to www.theinvestingsecret.com. I'll try to flash that down below here and find out more about this fantastic trading strategy. It's a strategy that I use, and it's one that helps me give insight to the cannabis market. Now, let's get into this week's update. This week, I want to talk about a stock that I have discussed before, but now I've got some real information to pass on. Some of you have written in to ask me about it as well. For example, Brian Wood said, would love a vid on Planet 13. And then Castle Mac on YouTube wrote, now that P13 is up to 583, is it too late to buy? Well, I want to thank you both for your feedback and for your question. I do want to dip into Planet 13. It trades over the counter under the ticker PLNHF. First, let me talk about their most recent quarterly earnings report. Let's just say it was a really, really good quarter for Planet 13. The company reported a big third quarter as their revenue rebounded 111% from Q2 to a record of $22.8 million. Now, compared to the same quarter a year ago, not quarter over quarter, Q2 to Q3, but Q3 to Q3, Planet 13 achieved a 36.5% increase in its revenue. And all this came despite its Superstore in Las Vegas, which, if you remember me telling you about before, is this massive store in Vegas that is lit up about as well as the Vegas Strip itself. That Superstore only operated at a maximum of 50% capacity due to the coronavirus pandemic. So Planet 13's financials actually look pretty good, all things considered. The company's consolidated earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization for the quarter was $6.2 million. Compare that to the $3.3 million in EBITDA the company reported for the same quarter a year ago. You have an 83.8% increase year over year. Planet 13's gross profit for the quarter, for this recent quarter, was $12.4 million compared to $9.8 million for the same quarter a year ago. It was also able to decrease its expenses in the quarter, which isn't necessarily uncommon, all things considered, with the coronavirus pandemic. You have to figure there's going to be some, not necessarily staff layoffs, but scheduling isn't going to be necessarily near as much as it usually is because the Superstore isn't open nearly as much. They decreased their expenses from $9.3 million in Q3 of 2019 to $8.8 million in Q3 of 2020. A lot of that, it may not seem like a whole lot, and it really isn't, because you still have a lot of R&D expenses that the company is still pumping through. Research and development didn't stop just because the coronavirus shut down the Las Vegas Superstore. So if all things were considered and all things were equal, you would probably be seeing about a flat expense rate, if not maybe even an uptick a little bit from Q3 of 19 to Q3 of 2020. Now, for the first 9 months of 2020, the company has struggled. Just consider this. Its EBITDA was about $7.5 million. You can see a lot of its earnings have come from the third quarter because, again, earnings were about $6.3 million. Total for the year, $7.5 million. Gives you a pretty good indication as to just how big this third quarter really was. And it goes to show what kind of an impact the coronavirus shutdowns had on business. Planet 13 really missed out on tourism sales at its Las Vegas Superstore in the second quarter, and that has impacted them. However, they're still not looking bad for the year in terms of their total profit. In November, the company closed a $22.5 million public offering, opened its Medicine dispensary in Las Vegas, which is a complement to its Superstore. It basically just sells one brand of products. The Superstore sells everything. I mean, and it's not just cannabis products. It is a wealth of things that store sells. I plan on going at some point just to check it out. I haven't been there yet, but if you've been there, tell me. Let me know what it's like. Let me know in the comments on our YouTube page. Just let me know what you've seen. If you have pictures to share, would love to see that too. Might share that with the entire community. Planet 13 stock price has done very well over the last 12 months. In the trailing 12 months, the stock price has risen 272%. Now, you compare that to the rest of the agriculture industry, which is the industry that Planet 13 is actually in. That industry has only gone up 14.5%. So you have 272%. 14.5%. So you see Planet 13 is actually doing very well. Since its low point in March of 2020, Planet 13 shares have climbed more than 708% off that low mark. So that is pretty impressive. Again, you have to understand the percentages, though. They look impressive because it's a relatively low-priced stock. So $1 to $2 is a nice gain, but it's and it looks impressive, but it's still $1 to $2. That's not to take anything away from the stocks. You just have to kind of put things in perspective when you start talking about stock raises and percentages. Regardless, it's still an impressive climb. It has pared back a little bit since reaching a top of $6.09 a share. But now to answer Castlemac's question about $5.83 being too late of an entry point, I really don't think so. The consensus high price target that analysts have for Planet 13 is about $6.15 a share. So even at $5.83, you'd still be locking in some profit. However, I think there's a lot more room here for the company. In June of this year, the company announced it was buying California dispensary Newtonian Principles Incorporated in a cash and stock deal valued at right around $4 million. The acquisition included Newtonian's California cannabis sales license and a 30-year lease for a dispensary in Santa Ana. Now, first, Planet 13 got a bargain because the initial negotiated price for the acquisition was $10 million. Then things kind of happened. Planet 13 actually walked away from the deal. They said, no, we're not going to do it. $10 million is too high. Well, then the companies got back together and decided, well, more than maybe $4 million is a little bit better in terms of cash and stock. Planet 13 said, okay, and I don't blame them. That's a pretty big discount off the initial negotiating price. Now, second, the Santa Ana dispensary location is right close to the South Plaza Mall. That has about 24 million visitors a year and is just 10 minutes, and the dispensary is also about 10 minutes drive from Disneyland, which has about 18 million visitors per year. So Planet 13 is actually looking to expand that Santa Ana location and make it a superstore similar to the one they have in Las Vegas. Probably won't be nearly as big, but it will be probably just as flashy. This will be a huge attraction for tourists in the region, again, just like the store in Vegas. Now, to me, there's a lot of upside potential here to Planet 13. I think the price target of $6.15 may be a bit low, but it's not going to hit it until after we're past the pandemic and tourism starts to ramp back up. But once that happens, though, I think Planet 13 is well positioned to make a good run of up to $6.50, even a $6.75 a share in that range. I like Planet 13. It's a company I've actually considered for my cannabis watch list on moneyandmarkets.com. Speaking of which, let me give you an update on that watch list. And again, I said this last week, I'll say it again this week, our watch list has really been on fire of late. 4 of our 5 positions are showing double-digit gains, and a 5th one is actually close, and it wasn't one that I thought we were going to get close in this year. But one of them has seen marked gains since I updated you last week. The watch list cumulative gains now are at about 26%. Those gains beat the entire broad market. If you look at the iShares Core S&P 500 ETF, it's up only about 3.8% since I put the first 3 cannabis stocks on our watch list in September. A deeper look, Schweitzer Maudet, traditional tobacco company. It's been in the black since I put it on the watch list. It's up about 31% since I put it on in September. Perkin-Elmer, which is a company that tests cannabis strains, it's been a really strong winner for us in September. JP Morgan and Chase, as I mentioned last week, recently increased its stake in Perkin-Elmer. That stock is now up 23% since I added it to the watch list in September. Turning Point Brands, another traditional tobacco company, starting to make a run in cannabis. It's been really our best performer, and it's just getting stronger. 43% increase since I added it to the list in October. Grow Generation, cannabis company, is selling more stock in hopes of generating an additional $125 million in public money. Since I added it to the watch list last month, it's up more than 21%. Now, the outlier here, Scott's Miracle-Gro. It's been our weakest performer. In fact, it's been negative most of the time. I'll be honest with you. I really thought it was kind of a dud. I thought it was going to be a loser. I thought that the weather conditions and coronavirus and all this was really going to hit Scott's Miracle-Gro. And I am certainly glad that I decided to keep it on the watch list. It was down as much as 10% in October. Now it's up 6% since I added it to the watch list in September. So if you invested when I made those recommendations, congratulations on those gains. That is very savvy of you to do that. Not too late to get into them. I don't really think that any of them have really hit a peak yet. I think you're going to see some market fluctuations, still some unknowns, but a vaccine is out. Stimulus stocks are gaining more and more ground. So I think the market still has a lot more room to grow. Plus, we're getting ready to change in White House administration here in January. So I think we're going to see some market upticks. And I think our cannabis stocks are going to be part of that process too. So if you haven't bought into them yet, I still think you can. You won't see nearly as strong a gains, I don't think, but I think you could see some gains that could be double digits in some instances. Now, remember, if you do have any feedback, any comments or questions you'd like to ask, or any stocks you'd like me to take a look at during our marijuana market update, just email me at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. You can also leave a comment down below in our YouTube section. I get a lot of those, so I can't answer them all. I apologize. I'm not able to answer everyone's questions. I just get a flood of them. It's hard for me to do that because we've got 3 different videos and comments on every one of them. It's very hard for me to do it, but I do appreciate reading them. I do read them all. It's just hard for me to break away and comment on all of them, but I do encourage you to do so. If there's something you'd like me to look at, I am more than happy to put it on the list to do that. Also, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button, and then when you get the notification bell pop up, just mash on that, and you get notified each and every time we put up a new video. That goes for our Bull and the Bear podcast. That goes for our week ahead, and any other videos that we happen to put out. Doing that gets you kind of a forward look, because we don't usually post the content on our Money and Markets page until about a day after it's done. So you actually get the videos out first. That said, I would encourage you to go to moneyandmarkets.com and sign up for our free daily e-letter. It comes with about 2 to 3 stories each and every morning for you. You wake up to it and you'll have it there in your inbox. And we aim to give you safe and sound, profitable information. Myself, my colleagues, Charles Sizemore, our chief investment strategist, Adam Odell, CMT, Michael Carr also contributes as well. And we're just there to kind of give you the best information that we have so you can help with your portfolio. I encourage you to do that. Just go to moneyandmarkets.com and put in your email address, and you'll start getting our free daily e-letter. We'd love to hear from you and get you on that list. So I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets, host of the Bull and the Bear podcast, your marijuana market update, and the week ahead. We're getting into Christmas, so the schedule is going to fluctuate a little bit, but we're going to try really hard to make sure you got videos up until the end of the year. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.